Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Anime Watch Club, a bi-weekly group discussion and review where the host of the What Do You Say Anime podcast nominate and vote on shows either we haven't seen or shows that hopefully lead to a great conversation. On today's episode, the observers of the What Do You Say Anime podcast will be reviewing the 2016 anime and its corresponding 2018 OVAs, ReLife. Let's meet today's test subject. First, he took a pill in Ibiza to show Avicii he was cool, but when he finally got sober, he looked 10 years younger. But fuck it, it was something to do. We got Kat. Kat, how's it going?
What was that?
That was really good.
Thank
That was
you.
one of the best intros you've ever
Thank
done.
you.
Honestly.
I thought of it as soon as I watched episode 1. I was like, I'm making this reference for sure.
It's one of my favorite Mike Posner songs, so good job.
Thank you.
It's the only Mike Posner song I know.
Songs.
Cooler Than Me, Looks Like Sex, Bomb Chickawawa. I'm a weirdly large Mike Posner fan.
Yeah, really weird. How about Kat, though? Kat, how you doing? Are you a Mike Posner fan?
I am not, but I might need to listen more. I might need to listen to more. I'm doing great though.
Glad to have you. Next up, he is the opposite of a real-life test subject, or at least in our Discord. We got Johnny. Johnny, how's it going?
Actually, no, I'm actually a 36-year-old man just coming here pretending to be 18 years old so I can see what our society has become after we've all become chronically addicted to online behavior. So you are all going to be receiving an F on the reports, and I hope to never see any of you ever again.
Sounds good. Our first moderator of the night, he actually used his show for R&D purposes on his next project at work. We got Miles. Miles, how's it going?
That's actually under an NDA, so you don't know any about that. That's
How are you doing?
we're doing good. We're doing good.
Okay, good.
These have all been bangers. These have been really good.
Thank
honestly.
you. Thank you. And then, of course, the best one for last. We got Pat.
There we go. Yep. Wouldn't want it any other way. I would not redo it. I would not do it ever again. God damn it. So hard to come up with something different to say to that every single week. But hey, we make it work. So we watched ReLife for Watch Club this week. We also did include the OVAs. We decided to do that because we feel like it wrapped up the story a lot better. Or I don't know, gives a little bit more, a few more layers to it. And who doesn't love onions, right? So this is a show from summer 2016. It's a drama romance. I believe it's also flagged a sign-in. At least the manga is flagged, or what the web manga is flagged as a sign-in. Made by TMS Entertainment. And let's do our first impressions. Miles, why don't you start us off?
Yeah, so I'd heard good things about this show from Pat and Pete and probably other people on the Discord. So I was excited to watch it for our romance episode. And my first impressions were that I don't know, it was good. It's a good show. You're gonna find that I'm gonna say it was good semi-frequently this episode, and sometimes I'll say it wasn't good. But then sometimes I'll say it's good. So,
Provocative, man.
I
Really...
know. It's really think about it.
Talking
I,
about the heartstrings, my dude.
I don't know. Would I recommend this show? Yeah. If you like romances, do it. If you're like not into romances, I don't think this is. I don't know. It's not like iconic or anything, in my opinion. But it's good if you like the genre. I guess it's a romance. I don't know. We could talk about that later. Those are my thoughts.
That'll be fun to talk about. I agree. I think that'll be really, really fun. All right, Kat, what about you?
I, on the other hand, think that this was that my first impressions of the show are really, really great. It's a really interesting concept because a lot of times, like when it comes to high school dramas and stuff like that, it doesn't normally start off where it starts at, and it really hooked me in with how it started. This is not the first time I've watched it, but just kind of giving just my thoughts on it. I think that it's an interesting take on just drama in general. Well, that drama and anime in general. Uh, yeah. So personally, I would definitely recommend it to anyone who is into romance or drama or just like really good personalization.
Yeah, there you go. All right. Johnny, what about you?
Yeah, so for me, I watched this anime before already. I think it's like 3 years ago now. When did quarantine start? 2020. Yeah, 3 years ago. So there's actually I watched this the first time because Pat told me to watch it, and back then I thought it was a really good show. I thought the characters were really well written, animation was existent, but we could talk about that later. But yeah, I think it's a good story. It has well written characters, it has a good plot, even though if you think about how the plot works, it doesn't really make any sense. But overall, I definitely recommend this. It's a good show, but there is some flaws of the show that we'll get into later, but yeah, I'll definitely recommend this, especially to anyone that takes random drugs from strangers.
Yeah, no, that'll make you relate to it very easily, I think. Pete, what about you?
Yeah, if there's one thing that this show teaches you, it's sometimes taking drugs from strangers is kind of cool, especially if your life kind of sucks. Jokes aside, this is my second time watching this. I actually resonated with the show a lot the first time because I watched it when I was 27 and the main character was 27. It was at a point in my life where it's like, man, this show's really hitting when you're 27. Yeah, man, this show is just great. Just like sometimes like wishing you could redo some things in your life, whether it's romantically or just like the relationships that you had involved. And I think that this story does a really good job at kind of retelling of those moments that I think a lot of people wish that they had the time again to redo. Whether it's like whether your life is good or bad, I think it's kind of irrelevant for the type of the story that this was just trying to tell. This one just happened to be, I think, about two people who were struggling. But yeah, man, I really enjoyed this show a lot. It has a special place in my heart, and I think the message was clear and just a really good show.
Yeah. And last but not least, I would also recommend this. As you can see, I've recommended it to two of the people in this call before. Yeah, I think I watched it back in college, and so I couldn't fully relate in the same way Pete could, but I definitely understood uh, the difficulty that the main characters go through, that they all share. Because I don't know, it was almost more relatable for me because it takes place in high school, but is involved with adults, and I don't know. I love this show. I think it's a staple in the romance subgenre of anime, and I do think it's a romance. So I think that that'll be a very interesting conversation for us to have later on in the show. But yeah, like Miles though, I wouldn't recommend this to everybody just because it can be a little slow at times. I've now watched both sub and the dub. I think the sub's better. So if you had to choose, I would choose the sub myself. But the dub isn't bad. It's not like an old dub or anything like that. I know it's hard to recommend to someone who is looking for anything other than yeah, characters that, in my opinion, at least, go through a lot of development and build strong relationships with each other. Both I think both romantically and platonically too, which I think the show does extremely well. So yeah, all right, that's our spoiler-free first impressions of ReLife and the OVAs. Feel free to pause this if you need to. And yeah, let's get into the spoilers. So, who has the first talking point that they'd like to bring up?
I have a question. I don't know a ton about this. Like, it, they obviously rushed some stuff at the end with the OVAs just to get to like the big culmination we were looking for. But the way that I kind of felt in this series was that like because we missed on that other stuff, Rena sucked, and then everyone else was kind of cool. And I don't like. Has anyone like read the manga? Does she just suck in the like? I like her as a character, and she's like fun and everything. But like every problem is her being kind of selfish that we deal with in the series. And
Yeah,
so I was wondering, like, is the manga like that, or do we like get a deal with some other people doing some stuff later, or
yeah, she kind of sucks in the manga too.
is that just
Um,
how that is? Okay.
yeah.
When
I read the manga after watching it the first time because I wanted to see if there's any more. There is a tiny bit more at the end, so there's even more of a even more conclusiveness with this show, which I really enjoyed. But yeah, the it's pretty it's pretty close to the manga. It's like it's
Is it?
almost
The manga's 238 chapters, and this was 17 episodes. Yeah. I feel like we
well,
missed a shit ton.
I
my
would
my
I would think
understanding
so.
what happened was we got the culmination of the final, like the first of the 13 episodes, right, is about 2/3 of the way through the manga, and then the
Okay.
final third is kind of skipped over most of. They show it a little bit, but they kind of skip over the final third of the manga until, and obviously to the very end. Although there is one extra chapter that they don't really show that is very very nice. I agree with Kat on that one. That like gives you a little bit even more closure than the show does. Although the show, leaving off where it didn't feel like it was like open ended in any bad sort of way that like I normally would complain about. Knowing me, it felt like it was like, oh yeah, no, they figured out. They remembered each other. They had their memories come back. I mean, it was proposed as a possibility in the show at one point, even though they say it's never going to happen. And of course, love always wins, whatever the usual trope is. That I don't know. I really, hmm. Reina sucks. That's a take.
I no, I don't mean that
I
like
know you don't. I know,
yeah.
like she sucks as a person, right? And I get that. And it's funny because you're right, but it's also just like I don't know. She's just a selfish. She can be selfish, but like a high school girl can be like that sometimes, right? Like
Well, she
that
felt like the
just
only
happens.
character that was a high school student because we didn't delve into anyone else. Like, okay, so
Because
like
the
the
other
uh,
three or
like
four
her,
guys are
her
not.
yeah her yeah like her boyfriend Kazuyomi doesn't really have issues. They allude to some issues with his brother, and that just they don't really ever address that again. And in fact, they bring up a conflict between them, and as far as I know, that just doesn't get addressed. And I think that's just because time. I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Um, but like there are other characters, right? There's like Hanukkah. There's Hanukkah's two boyfriends, and like Hanukkah's problem is that she's too good, which which is like frankly kind of a fake problem. And then like I don't know, it just seemed like Reina was the only one who like was a high school student and like learned anything. Like Chizuru learned some stuff, but there's like a different sort of category. You know what I mean? And like so, I guess I was just wondering about how that worked out because I don't know about anyone else, but it actually did stick out to me while I was watching the show that like we were just dealing with Reina's problems for like the first 10
Yeah, a
episodes.
lot. On my rewatch, I was kind of because I really enjoy ReLife, but when I was rewatching it, I was like, I'm really not enjoying it like I did the first time. I was like, something's off. Like, why is this resonating with me? And then I just realized like a lot of the times it's not about the two main characters. It's not about the two test subjects. It's about everybody else. And I was kind of like, is that like the point they're trying to get across here? I was a little confused. Miles could get this reference, maybe Cat too, but like I wasn't sure if they're doing like a Suri Zuri children type of thing where like they were like telling us different storylines through these different like either couples or wannabe couples. And I didn't feel like that was the point of the show. Like I thought like it was supposed to be like Arta and Chizuru kind of figuring it out. And then when they put so much emphasis on Reina on my rewatch, I was like, this is like I feel like this should be time focused on the other characters, but then the back half we really got what I wanted. So like I think like it's okay, but I agree with you. The beginning / middle area was like not as enjoyable, a little more confusing to like the scope of the show.
I was curious if the romance portion of this was just between Rena and Kazuyomi, and then like our main guy didn't date anyone because they're all children. Um, but there was a secret other not child. There were two secret other not childs. So
3.
yes, there were.
There's 4 of them total.
Yeah,
Yeah.
true.
Well,
Actually,
one of them wasn't a secret, so there were technically only two secret other not.
yeah, that's true. That's a good point. Depending whose perspective you're from. So like this group of like 6 friends, 4 of them were just like 20 something year olds.
Yeah. Isn't it funny to think about in hindsight? Yeah.
18-year-olds surrounded by a bunch of old men. Like
Hey,
That would
I don't
never
know,
happen.
something. I don't
37.
know, yeah, no problem at all.
Oh
No.
my god.
Yeah, I get what you're saying though, that but also like what problems does Arta really have, the main guy? What does he really have other than the fact that he drinks, smokes, and I mean, yeah, the trauma obviously, but that doesn't really get really talked about or shown until later on in the show. And I think
Yeah, that was
maybe the purpose of it was to show that he's not someone who needed a real life, really, like at least from like a grand scheme of things. And in my opinion, he didn't. He's just a normal guy that again is repressing his trauma rather than confronting it, mainly because he somehow this very normal guy. I guess the whole they say, oh, he doesn't have friends anymore because he got exiled or whatever. But like, do you not have friends from high school? Do you not have friends from childhood at all? Like, he seemed like a normal person, right? Like, he gets along with people. It's just that he made that one mistake of, you know,
was it
You
even a mistake? Like,
well, no, but the mistake in the same way that like, you catch your CEO sleeping with
Your
someone and you
wife.
report it, and then you get fired the next day. That's a mistake. So, right? Like, that's basically what happened. It's not what happened in the show, but it's basically what happened, right? Like, it's the same idea where he's being punished for doing the right thing, and like, he should be aware of that. But
I feel like for for me and from my perspective, it feels like they're trying to do a little bit more of like like extreme immersion therapy, where they're trying to get him into a situation where he's having to think about things that are going on around him, like just all the problems that go on, because basically what he like I guess what he's feeling like he's doing is like running away from his problems, and in order for him to like actually think about them, he has to stop and do the same thing every day instead of having to jump from place to place to place, because that's what he was doing before he got his real life. And once he actually got his real life and like actually thought about himself for a while and didn't have to worry about where he was staying or where he was going, stuff like that, he was able to overcome what his trauma was, or at least cope with it effectively, so that he can come back and do and be successful, or at least successful enough where he doesn't have to worry about this ghost that was behind him.
it gets his groove back, you know. Have him
Yeah.
deal with high schoolers so he can get some W's because they're easy to manipulate. And um,
what do you say about me?
well, wait, dude, you're in college now. You're
Yeah, but
slightly
they're like the same age as me. They're 17, 18. So
yeah. Well, you're easy to manipulate, Johnny. You heard it here first, everyone.
I
Um,
mean, you're not wrong, but also I disagree.
well, I don't know. It's like I guess to me, I would. uh, Do you? What is everyone's thought on him confronting his trauma? Do we think he like did that enough? Because I don't. I don't think he did. I don't think. I don't think he ever really said to himself like, you know what, I did. Like they have the one scene where they're coming down from the grave, and like the one guy's like, wow, that really sucks that you got fired, but like, wow, we it's cool that you did what we would have liked to do. Uh, but we're not going to because we like having jobs. Bye, buddy. And
well,
you know, so but like to me, it would have been nice if he, because like I feel like he could have gotten another job, but he just never dealt with the trauma of his senpai or whatever, like killing herself, because like he couldn't explain why he left the job to people, because if he was like, yeah, my trainee killed themselves and I just couldn't be there anymore, like people,
Would
I don't know,
understand.
like yeah, they would get that, but
I think they tried to cover it up.
he couldn't confront that. Well, they didn't cover up the fact that she killed herself or anything. They just like were like, we weren't to blame. What they said was that she came to work to kill herself because that's where she was most comfortable, as opposed to like
And so that sounds like some straight up bullshit.
it was straight up bullshit. But like
companies don't lie. What are you talking
And
about?
that's like a kid killing themselves after school because it was their favorite place to be. It's like, no, what the hell?
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean exactly. But like that, like to me, I would have liked him to have been like, you know what, I did the right thing and I just need to like work through like because being jobless wasn't the issue for him. It wasn't he was a loser or unsuccessful or not smart or didn't know how to socialize. It was that he was traumatized. as opposed to Chizuru, who literally couldn't talk to anyone. Um,
So here's the other thing. I think thinking about this from like the position of ReLife, of like the company, you have them looking at them through this lens of objectivity, I guess. Where basically this chick can't get a job because she cannot talk to anyone. She's very closed off. But this dude isn't getting a job because he's traumatized. The end result of them being in their particular situations is that they cannot get a job. They cannot get
yeah.
a stable like stable productive job. And in order to do this, they enroll them in the Real Life program. I think from their position, it would be more like, "Hey, you're having problems. Let us enroll you in this." Instead of it being, we know, like, they might know their situation, but still, it's, this is what we want you to do because of this result. You know what I mean?
I guess that makes sense. I think I was looking at it from a perspective of like, let's resolve these people's trauma, because like that's the ethical thing to do in my mind, as opposed to like,
Ethics.
let's get these people. And I don't know why I'm expecting ethics from this Real Life program. Like they're horribly unethical, but like
Oh, yeah.
as opposed to like getting them back into the workforce and like making something of their lives, which isn't like a negative thing. It's just not. I guess it's not what I would have focused on, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
If I was controlling the secret mafia of Real Life with the power to erase people's memories.
Can we dive into
Um,
that?
yeah,
Do you remember
yeah, go ahead.
we did the Arya episode and I had like this really strange conspiracy theory about the entire world that they lived in? What's the
Yeah,
what's the end game for this Real Life company? Like they're obviously test subjects for R&D purposes. But like what's the end goal with these pills? I want to get you guys' thoughts on some conspiracy theories if you have any.
Profit, because it's a pharmaceutical company and that's all they care about.
I
Bang, there we go.
I
Like,
don't
I don't know.
think that they would be a pharmaceutical company. Like, of course, if it was like a program where they're like they would actually have to state that they're a pharmaceutical company and this is like a testing phase or something like that. They don't do that. So it kind of says, "Hey, we have like this is something that is proven. This is what we do." Like they're a program that's based around that. I Now, the thing is that they definitely don't do the holistic approach, like Miles said, but they are doing an approach that at least somewhat works, and they get some like they at least get a good amount of results from it. At 2 out of 2 from what we've seen.
Yeah, but is the end goal to like sell a pill to make 10 people or 10 years younger looking, or is the end goal to do something more? Like I guess that's what I'm trying to think of. Like I'm trying to get like a conspiracy theory tin hat foil
okay.
cap thing. Like
We want 10 foil thing. Okay,
yeah.
the looking young thing is the product that they sell to people because people like looking younger, but that's not the real product. That's not the purpose, right? That's the front. The actual thing is their memory manipulation, and they can use that to do whatever the fuck they want. Right? So you get a lot of the population wants to look younger. Who are the most active voters? Older people. You get those people in, you make them forget about political scandals, things like that. You can like be getting tons of money from different like actors or whatever, like high ranking political officials. And because everyone's getting that treatment because everyone wants to look hot, you're able to control the narrative of what's happening in the country.
Yeah, did you notice how in Real Life the eye in Real Life is actually a pill, and you know what else has an eye in it? The Illuminati. I think the Illuminati is a part of the whole Real Life project because they run everything already. Why not make it easier with a little capsule?
This all gets addressed in the 8th ending song.
It's all in
Just so you
volume
guys
9 of the
know.
manga that got cut.
No, yeah, it's in the one of the 13 EDs. If you guys actually paid attention, you would have seen it. But
Yeah,
can't
Pat's
expect that
playing
from my
ED8
co-host.
backwards. It's just like
Yeah, exactly.
You should subscribe to Crunchyroll.
Eva Netniaj or whatever.
Yeah.
For our me and Pete probably
Eva
just
Netniaj.
Eva Netniaj.
That's a callback. Holy shit. That just triggered
It's-
something in
guys-
my brain.
You guys need some pills.
That's the
to,
Simpsons, bro. Oh,
yeah,
man.
it's like season 6 or something of The Simpsons.
Woo, dating myself real quick there.
Oh,
Okay, that's enough conspiracy theory. I just wanted to get that.
good YouTube short content there.
You guys
Yeah.
get a real life now.
Trying to have some
Um,
problematic Indian music like they did in the episode 2. Yeah.
Well,
Oh my
I
god,
had a
that's season
conspiracy
12
theory.
of The Simpsons. How long has The Simpsons been going on? Anyways,
Forever.
Several years.
okay.
It'll never die.
I had a conspiracy theory.
Okay, go for it.
All right, so my conspiracy theory is that in order to make sure that, and this is more of a worldview of Japan, they're trying to make sure that all of their citizens are productive, just to kind of show off to like America and China and all the other like first world countries in the world, just like our people are all there. Like they're all doing these great things. And for the people that aren't like doing these productive jobs, they have a program where they're basically saying, "Hey, you aren't doing what you need to." It's almost like the secret police in 1984, where they're just like, "You aren't doing what you need to. Here, let's pull you off the street. Take this pill and go back to high school
Love
so you
it.
can figure out your life."
Yeah,
That's
I agree with that. They are kind of like
the secret police.
mildly benevolent Big Brother
Yeah.
or whatever. Like
Exactly.
It's almost like that's what real farm is like in real life. Whoa!
Whoa!
Oh
Yo, but they're
my
ethical. They're only
God.
hacking to your phone for 5 minutes at a time.
I cannot confirm nor deny.
Wait, why is my phone buzzing? Oh,
You can't confirm or deny that your company is ethical? Is that what you're saying?
no
He's
comment.
gonna get fired tomorrow.
Come on, man. We can't dive into Miles' personal life here.
There's a
No,
man I know
definitely
and,
not.
Should we get back
Staring
into
at
the
me.
show?
What
Yes, we
show?
can. I don't know. Things certainly happened in this show. Like, I guess we could talk about like the romance aspect of it, because I guess like my initial thought on it was like, I guess I could tell that the romance between Arata and Chizuru was like probably coming, but they spend so long not doing it. You know what I mean? Like focusing on like not having those feelings. Like, I don't know. It's so weird. I enjoyed the show, but so many things like rub me the wrong way about it. Like how they were both tested. Like, just tell them. Why does it matter? I don't get why it matters.
Well, because it would change the results of the subject's like test. So if you were told that it's a scientific experiment, right? Like it's to some extent, you can't like manipulate the results by having the.
Yeah, but what are they testing for? Like,
Well, they're not testing. They're being given. Like I don't know. Like to me, I get why it makes sense to not tell them, because that would definitely alter their experiences and change the outcome of the
okay,
experiment in this
So,
case. But
if these people like, sure, but also like every 10 seconds they'd be like, "Hey, Arata, fuck Chizuru. You should fuck her." And then he'd be like, "What? What?" And then he's like, "Oh, I didn't say anything. Don't worry about it. But you know what would be really interesting? If you went and fucked Chizuru." And like, you know what I mean? Like they're fucking with them the whole time.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like one, they go to the school to interfere with them. Two, they like actively manipulate both of them into getting into a relationship with each other. Like, what's the point of that exercise? If just tell them that they could date each other ethically, for Christ's sake.
It's
No,
He never is gonna get wiped after.
But that would be a show too. Like I get what you're saying. I do. I
So
really liked it
yeah,
though. That I liked though that Chizuru, so to go on with the romance bit, like I really liked how Chizuru eventually does figure it out. Before a lot faster than Arata does, right? Like while she figures out that he is part of the same program, or she starts to get suspicious of it, and then she gets confirmation of it when she sees the cigarettes and the booze, at his apartment, right?
yes.
Which is so funny, but it's that that is a good way to confirm it. Like I liked that because it then forces her right to try to come out of her shell and to try and uh, address those problems that she has. Because she is aware that she has issues. She's aware that she needs this ReLife to work, and part of the way she sees that working is finally having feelings for someone, or finally uh, reaching that next stage with a guy. I don't. I appreciate that they didn't really become romantically involved until they were back to their adult form too. Like I appreciate that they never really crossed that line, other than the confession at the very end. Before they both, whatever you call it, fucking reverted. Like I really, it's such a weird thing to think about. Like
Before they grew up again.
how about a pill, man? Like, can you imagine a pill that would do this? Like one pill, one little tiny pill that literally changes your body and its composition. It's just crazy to me.
It's not
I know
Viagra.
something about a little.
Yeah,
I was gonna allude to that joke. I wasn't gonna
I
just
mean, it does change your
say
size.
it.
Viagra
Yeah, that
just
was the point.
increases your vascular
Blood flow.
dilation.
Okay, considering that like the main character in the show doesn't even change at all when you convert from an adult to like his teenage years, was like this is another thing about the show. It's like I thought the character designs were very boring, to be honest.
I love
I
them.
agree, but I don't know. They're high
Interesting.
school students. They look like high school students. That's
Yeah.
fine.
that's the way I looked at it too. Like they are plain, but I think that's on purpose. Like the fiery one, Reina, has red hair. Wow, that's clever. The Chizuru, the withdrawn one, is very withdrawn and normal looking. Like, not normal, but you know what I mean. Like just
Her
neat
hair is
looking.
black
Well,
because
she
looks
looks
like
like
a
the
cat.
Kudere character.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Well, you
That's the right way to put it. She looks like Ray. Yeah, there you go.
But like,
And that
you can look plain, but still like have like nice character designs. I think it's just because of the animation. Because like in like I don't know, like think about like the show that we were like Liz and the Bluebird. It's like everyone in that show looks like plain, but like they still I still think like they had like good designs. And maybe that's just because the animation was better in that show, but again for me it's just like I
Yeah,
thought
I,
like, it
I
wasn't
literally
very
can't tell the
appealing.
difference.
I mean, I don't know.
You
It's,
can't tell the difference between
Yeah.
Kyoto animation and this.
No, the
Yeah,
the
no.
character designs. It's just like they just look
Oh.
like normal high schoolers. Like I don't know. I'll like what's like. Do you need like mind blowing animation like character designs for a high school setting like this? Like I don't know. I just don't see like the reason behind it to have it.
yeah, I agree with Johnny. Wherein like I don't think it's good, but I also agree with Pete where I don't think it's necessary. Like I certainly wouldn't complain. Like I think the Liz and the Bluebird stuff, like Johnny said, is just like the characters strike out more. They have like more unique aspects to them, like Bow Girl or whatever. Like the way that their necks are like just they're more unique looking. But
shiny
also,
skin.
you know what I mean? Like yeah, but like or Gairu doesn't have like top tier character design or anything,
That's
and
where
like
you're wrong.
that's where I'm wrong. Okay, it's fair
Same
enough.
thing. Yeah, yeah. He's got you there. No, but you don't get it, Miles. Sometimes she wears the glasses, and then sometimes she takes them off.
And she takes her ponytail out, and she's hot now. It's oh goodness.
I-
Um,
Going back to I guess the romance aspect of the show, I thought it was like pretty. It was fine. I just feel like how it was structured was bad. Where a lot of the development of the main cast was at the end of it, and I feel like the foreshadowing was like it was there, but I feel like it could have been hinted a little bit better. And I felt like it was like way too much time on Reina and her problems. And I feel like they could have broken that up and maybe expanded on maybe Haneka's like potential love interests as well. I think that opportunity was on the table, especially since she had like two dudes kind of looking at her, one in particular. And I feel like that was a
Akira,
missed
right?
yeah, and that was like a missed opportunity, I think, where there's just too much saturation on a character that I guess didn't gravitate to and like not the real focal point of the show. Because like Reina getting together with Kazuomi, did that really like progress the relationship of Arta and Chizuru? Because to me it felt like a bonus chapter of a story.
So, what I will say is that, like, because they were older, it was like a project they got to work on together that, like, let them bond, right? So, like, Chizuru got to be there because she wasn't dumb as a bag of rocks, which apparently Arata is. Because, like, I get maybe failing a couple quizzes or tests or something, like, if you were just thrust back into high school, but, like, everything all the
Grad
time,
school
dude.
graduate Arta.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, like the guy has like a master's degree or something. Like, surely you could pass Japanese or something. Like, what? Or like math? Like, weren't you like an accountant? Like, what is happening?
There's a
Um,
master's in philosophy or something.
yeah, who knows?
It was probably just paying off nerds to pay it to do his homework and
It's-
college. So now he had
um,
to actually learn it.
God, it's so. But like, and then like he understood emotions like at all, right? So that they used those powers together to be like one complete human being, and they sort of like bonded via that. But I don't. You're right. Where like I was waiting to find like for there to be tension between Hanukkah. Like I thought Hanukkah was going to get with Akira, and like that would cause a shift in that dynamic, and then like the nice sort of oblivious guy would be like upset because his friends are like super extra special close now, and he feels left out, and like all of that stuff. I feel like there's a lot of potential there, and it just didn't happen. And I feel like maybe they even set it up to. I don't know if it happens in the manga or not.
They definitely set it up in the anime. Like
Yeah, it
there's
definitely gets set up, right?
the
Like,
class picture, like Akira is just like staring at Hanukkah like the whole time. It's like creepy at points. But he's hot, so it's cool.
yeah, exactly. But yeah, like I don't like this is part of the issue that I have with like them not being able to like they have to speedrun the romance because they spend so long not being romantically interested in each other because it would have been pedophilia. Um
True.
so like one, I want to say props to the ReLife team because like a lot of anime would have just been like surprise.
Somehow, two in the past like 2 years have been like that. Actually, isn't that crazy? Like,
It's more than
but
two, right?
probably more than
It's
two.
gotta
Two
be.
that I have somehow seen. With Koikumo and Higehiro alone. Like I can't. I don't know, Pete. Have you seen any others too within the past
Oh.
couple of years that did the exact same thing that we're talking about?
Oh
Go
yeah.
ahead.
Yeah, at least ReLife didn't do the hey, this is bad, but at the end, just kidding. They actually like went through with it all, unlike those other two shows that Pat mentioned, which are just yikes, dumpster fires.
What did you guys think about the at the end when it shows them like starting to adjust back to their normal lives? Because I think that the to me the OVAs really just were icing on top of the cake. Because I enjoyed the series throughout, and in hindsight now, after almost a 5 year gap in watching it, I can definitely see some of the problems with it, right? That we're talking about now. You are, yeah, like the romance isn't that addressed until the end, which is good, but also makes it hard to be a romance. I I felt like when I watched the OVAs, I was just so freaking happy, and like the dopamine was just hitting constantly that I couldn't. I think the I'm pretty sure I have the OVAs at a 10. Like even though they look like shit, that's a whole different thing. I thought it was like the most perfect like finale that you could have to this show. Like all of the doors get closed, so to speak. All of the knots get tied. How did you guys feel watching it?
I felt the OVAs could have been like one OVA. like maybe 2. It's like the first 2 where they do the school festival or whatever.
Yep.
I was like really bored, and then they like tie it up. But I feel like at the point I was at, like if they weren't gonna address anything else, I just wanted them to tie it up because like you knew what was gonna happen by that point, and so just do it. You know what I mean? Like that was my philosophy on it. I mean, I like the ending and everything, but like I don't think I think the first 2 OVAs were like the biggest lull in the story for me.
That's fair, and they were probably because they were, like, them skipping over and, like, barely touching upon the
Yeah,
manga that they were
anything.
covering, right? Because they had to, and I don't know, like, the production behind it. I find it, like, charming almost just because it's, like, you can tell this was done out of passion rather and necessity rather than, laziness, like, I shouldn't say laziness, but the lack of budget maybe. You know what I mean? Like with like a real anime, when there's a production error, it looks like shit and you're annoyed about it. Or when CGI comes in that wasn't there before, you're annoyed by it. Versus in this case, it was like, okay, they clearly knew that they couldn't dedicate the time to that, but they chose to still produce this. I know that I'm probably just biased, but I don't know how you guys feel about that either. But
Well, it was one of the first few anime that like didn't go through the, I guess, the manga pipeline, I guess, because it was a web novel, wasn't it? It was
it
a
was a web manga,
webcomic.
so
Same
So
same
similar,
thing. Yeah.
same vein, basically. Like just not officially published. I don't think by
yeah, it was like made to be. It was made by an independent artist, so it wasn't. And I feel personally for the like tying it into the OVAs, it feels like what Pat said. It feels like there's passion put into it. It feels like they want to tell this story to more people and get more people to actually come to the web novel. Rather than it just being, rather just feeling like an advertisement for a manga or just, just feeling like they need to to fill a slot. Like, it feels like it belongs there.
Yeah, it's like,
And
oh, sorry.
you go,
No, I was gonna say, like, I think there's a lot of shows where it ends at 12 episodes, and then you get the what if. Like, would you rather it end at 12, or would you rather get a 4 episode OVA where in one episode they're at a summer festival, and then the next episode it's Christmas? Um, it's like one of those things where it's like
yeah.
pick and choose like which one you want, because to me, I think like what they did in the 4 episodes was sufficient to close the story out. Obviously, you could tell there are gaps in the story just from those 4 episodes alone. But to me, it's like it. I guess when I do like my grading, and I always like compare it to like gymnastics. It's like how you finish is like the most important thing. You stick the landing, and I felt like that's what they did here. And so to me, it's like I'm glad that they were able to tell the story that they needed to in the limited time that they had, and really like stuck the landing.
and one of the things about it is that, like, going back to, like, the decrease in, like, animation quality with the OVAs, it's still, like, it's good enough where it like for me, I'm not paying attention to the visuals. I'm getting engrossed into the story and the characters are resonating with me. Uh like say something like that versus like a mediocre like romance anime. It just doesn't hit the same because you don't have that same connection, and because of the storytelling, and also the voice actors are that are really good in my opinion. Well, because I watched the sub after watching the dub a little bit. They like it really resonated with me so enough that I was being distracted away from the bad parts and being engrossed in the good parts, almost like a pig in a blanket.
I think a good story does that though, where that's like you're more engrossed in what's happening on the screen by the characters in the story than what is actually drawn by hand or something like that.
Yeah.
I do think that like it wasn't like the drop in animation was obviously noticeable, but I don't think it was enough to like make this show too much worse, in my opinion. Because it's like I was like, except for one part where it's like when they're like on their Christmas date and half the day was just a slideshow. I think that part it was kind of like it affected the
Egregious.
show, but like for the most part, it was just like eliminating background characters, which to be honest, they're background characters. You're not gonna notice them anyways, so like it's not the worst thing that they could have done.
Anyone else have a talking point?
I mean, I have a fun one if no one wants to talk about the story.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, cool. So I talked about this in chat before, but if you had the opportunity, essentially, to take a 1-year hiatus from your life, maybe in Johnny's case, let's fast forward 10 years. Would you
Oh, absolutely no.
take the pill?
Yeah, no.
Why would I go forward 10 years?
Because you're
No.
you're 12.
He's
a
saying,
bit of a
imagine you're 10 years in the future.
Yeah.
Now, picture where you are in 10 years.
No,
now,
yeah.
in that life
I
you've
just pictured, and I just figured, oh my god.
yeah, in that life you've pictured for yourself, are you a failure? that is what
It doesn't have to be
Pete is
it doesn't
asking.
have to be a failure. Just
Have you experienced
Well,
severe
given
trauma?
Given my bloodline, I think that I am always going to be a failure, but let's look at it that
No,
way.
come
I don't
on.
know.
Be nicer to yourself.
Well,
All
Listen,
right,
bro, my blood isn't even A. Like, it's not fair.
I think there's times where like I've had it in my life where where like work is stressful, money's tight, relationship problems, blah blah. It's like I really wish I could just like get away and like have. I mean, in this case, like Arta, all he has to do is go to school and interact with people, and all of his bills will be paid for. And I think that's kind of alluring to some people, even if they aren't like in the worst of situations where they just like don't want the stress, they don't want the anxiety. They can just like kind of chill and be a teenager again. And for me, not play World of Warcraft for 12 hours and maybe have a social life. Like, I don't know.
Besides League of Legends for 12 hours.
Yeah, it's some of that stuff is alluring to me. Where my life is great right now, but like part of the like not like the high school aspect, but more of like the freedom to kind of you're done at 3 and then you can kind of like do whatever you want. It's like that's kind of interesting to me.
Pete, you play Marvel Snap all day.
Yeah, but I'm busy right now. Work is busy now. When work's not busy, yeah.
So for me, like, if you would have asked me like 2 weeks ago, I would have said absolutely yes.
Yeah.
Because like I was at that point where money was tight and I wasn't doing great. I just recently got a big boy job and I'm actually able to like work for real, and I feel like I'm getting to a point where my career is starting.
Mhm.
2 weeks ago I'd have been like, I need a year away. I want all my bills paid for. I just want to do whatever.
Yeah.
Like that's like I understand where Pete's coming from, because it's like when it gets hard, you just want to get away. And
Exactly.
I completely.
Hmm.
What about you, Pat? You look conflicted.
I would never do this. I think the idea of going back to high school, this specifically too, and that's the thing. So like, I think Pete, what you're proposing is different from what's happening in real
What
life.
about college,
so-
Pat? What if you could go back to like your freshman year of college for like 6 months or something like that?
That I think that's that's very different, but even that sounds awful to me because I'm not getting paid and I'm still doing the same shit that I'm doing right now, except I'm well, I guess I would be smarter because I'm still me now. But man, like I know it's just hard to me to picture going back to school and having to study and having to sit there through
True.
class 7 hours a day. You're like, the show doesn't show it because it would be boring as shit. But Arta has to sit through high school classes. We only get to see him talking to friends, getting along with people. I would hate to have to sit through calculus again, especially if I already fucking knew it. Like that would be miserable. And for me, I have a lot of this is not a humble brag. I have a lot of friends that I would hate to leave, for a year or even 6 months. Like I have relationships with people that I would not want to walk away from, and family and everything else. Like it's really it would be an ideal situation again for someone who needed that, right? Someone who needed another chance to socialize with people, establish friendships, and learn how to make connections. But I already did that, and I do not want to have to do it again.
Understand.
Especially if I couldn't keep them too, because like, God, this would be a horror story if it ended up with them not actually meeting again and always having that what if in the back of their mind. Like, oh, why do I feel like I remember loving someone in high school, but I don't actually remember know them? Like that would ruin my life. Honestly, it would eat at me constantly all day rather than just I don't know. I'm very happy with where I am in life. Like obviously it can always get better, but it could also I don't know. It doesn't need to get that much better.
Gotcha. I was also trying to
I
set up Miles with this question too.
I
Mm,
do have one thing though. Like, what if they were only telling them that they couldn't meet anyone outside of that, and it was specifically designed to get them to remember each other eventually, because like it seemed like they'd been watching them for a while before they actually reached out to them, so it feels like it was almost like doctored, and it was almost like a big brain play where there's like we have this wedge between them. All right, now they're going, just pull it out,
I think a cool twist would have been like they told them that their memories would be erased after a year, and then they just weren't. I think that would have been a
Yeah.
really fun twist.
Oh.
That I felt like that. I feel like that might have been a little bit more of a heartwarming ending if that was the case, though.
I
So
mean,
the
the ending
only
was heartwarming.
they
It
didn't
was, but even more so.
they didn't know their memories were going to be erased.
No,
They didn't know. They thought like well, okay,
The
so
memory of each other.
like and not on Chizuru knew, right? That like her memory of him would be erased, but I don't think he knew.
mm-mm.
No, he
And
didn't.
like because he didn't know that she was also a person. So he just had his memory of her erased without knowing it because he's looking through the phone. So like he just thinks all of those people like forgot him because what they do is they erase everyone's memory who
I know
how
it's dumb. It's dumb. It's really
okay.
dumb.
The less you think about it, the more sense it makes.
I think
Yeah,
it just hit me how actually impossible that is because like I hadn't thought
Yeah.
about like what if he goes to a convenience store? What about those people who used to work at his company? What about anyone who ever talked to him? What about the lunch ladies? What?
Why would he be back at the school after going back to an adult?
Oh,
yeah.
fun.
People
Hold on.
exist in
I
public.
know
I
the
don't
answer to
know.
this. So in the live action movie, Arta actually becomes a teacher at the school after the ReLife program, and so does Chizuru.
Fulfilling-
And then they have the your name moment where they go like, "Do I know you?" And that's how the live action movie ends. So yeah, that's why he would go back to school because he becomes a teacher at the end.
After failing every single test, he becomes a
He has a
teacher. Are you
master's
serious?
degree. It doesn't matter.
And
Yeah, but
also,
he's
He could be a
every
gym
single course.
teacher. It doesn't like
That's true.
the smartest people aren't the best teachers either. The people who had to struggle to learn, to understand, are usually the better teachers because they understand the struggle that a student who isn't getting it gets better.
spitting.
Like so that's why they're usually good teachers at least, or it would make sense for him to still be a teacher because eventually he did learn. I guess I don't know. He got better, but yeah, I don't know. I guess do we want to move on to final thoughts here?
Yeah.
Wait, did Miles answer the question yet of like whether he would go back?
I mean,
It
I
was,
wouldn't.
it
I'm
was an adamant
married.
no.
Oh, that's true.
I have a
he just
kid.
had a kid. Yeah.
Yeah, like
Yes.
I was hoping he would say yes, and then I'd be like, Kayla got him, but like,
No, what if Kayla gets to go back and do it with you?
I man, I don't know. When do we
And
forgive each
Cooper,
other
you
then?
guys get you
Yeah.
Technically, and
guys
Cooper.
and Cooper too. Don't forget. So you guys had to have that all while in high school still.
Yeah, I guess like I might do it from the perspective of like it would give me a short career job. Like I would just go to school for like 6 hours a day or whatever, and then I could come home and take care of my son. It's not like he would know that I looked like I was 18. Like,
He would
Good
know
answer.
Yeah.
as soon as like your crow's feet just go back.
Yeah.
They were there when I was 18. It's been a long life.
The question is, would I go back 10 years and be 8 years old again? Or actually, no,
Yeah.
2 years old.
Yes, 2 years old. There you go.
2 years
Good
old.
answer.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
Our resident 12-year-old. We love you, Johnny. All right, Leia, let's
There
do
you
our
go.
closing thoughts and final scores. Miles, what do you think? What did anything we didn't touch on that you would like to touch on?
I wish it got more of Hanukkah. I liked Hanukkah. I liked the show. I thought it was. I thought it was good. I think that it's a bit weird. It's like basically if someone just made worse Your Name. That's like how I view the show. It's worse Your Name, which is easy enough to do, I suppose. But you got like people who think they can't be together for various reasons, who forget each other, who then remember each other. It's Your Name. Sorry if I just spoiled Your Name for someone
If you haven't
who's
seen it by
listening.
now, that's on you.
It's been
That's
7 years. Just
well,
get
I
on with
actually
it.
I think Preston hasn't seen it. Let me DM him real quick. But I don't know. 8.
I wrote down 7 for you, so I am so happy to
It
set
was
that as an 8.
I had to think about it. I think it's an 8. I had like a good time. I don't think I think it's a lot like The Girl Who Leapt Through Time, where like the things that stick out to me are like bad, but like it was just good. Like I liked the show. I'd watch the show again. Like
Yeah.
it did the stuff well. And then like, like all of the meat and
Things
potatoes
good.
of the show was certainly good.
I think that's fair. Yeah, that it's like the stuff that's weird about it isn't that bad. You know, like nothing is so offensively bad about it that it brings it down versus a lot of the really good stuff is done so well that it brings the score up.
Yeah,
Right?
so
Like
I think like for my Mal, maybe I'll like give the main series a 7 and like the OVAs an 8 or something.
That's what I have.
But like, yeah, okay. But like for this, I'm gonna say 8. 8.
thank you. Nice. We're bringing up Pat's average score for shows
God, it
nominated.
needs it.
Yeah, it does.
It
Hey,
does.
just because I like to experiment
Time to
doesn't
mine,
mean
don't
I
worry.
think Pat has the lowest average for
No, it's
nominated shows.
No,
100%
oh
mine.
no, it's Johnny.
It's 100% mine.
Johnny has Oremo and Blood Blockade Battlefront.
You're all
Oh,
welcome.
oh,
great. All right,
I
Kat, let's
wasn't here for
let,
Blockade.
yeah, let's keep things going. Kat, what about you? Closing thoughts and final score.
So, ReLife was a treat to rewatch. It was definitely it's one of those shows that when I'm feeling down or when I just don't feel like watching anything from this season, but I want to feel heartwarming, but I don't want to venture out. It's one of those shows that I will actually, uh, like sit down and just revisit something. And just doing that again this year is very, uh it helped me like feel even more accomplished about my job actually. So it but character wise, I loved the characterization of the people. I liked the one thing that I can say about it is just that the first time I watched it, I didn't get a lot of the issues with it. Even now, just having even more issues put it at it, I'm not gonna lower my score, but like having seeing like the where the romance came in and how it was kind of like chopped up throughout the like how the stories were kind of chopped up throughout the show, instead of like all flowing freely more. It does it does feel weird, but altogether, I really did love this show, and I really do love this show, and I am gonna give it a 9. So
9. Alrighty. Johnny, what about you?
Yeah, so the show for me is like first time I watched it, I liked it, and I think that like none of the things that I liked about the show have changed. It's just that I noticed the bad things about the show. And honestly, it's similar to like Angel Beats, where it's like the first time I watched it, I thought it was like an amazing show, and then the second time I went back, it's like, oh, what is this? It's like this. I don't remember this part about it. Like, hang on a second. But
That's
you know,
Angel
it's
Beats. It's
yeah,
yeah, but it's like again, like, but like the core message, or like for both these shows, like the core message and like the main things about these shows that like were good are still good. So I think that like generally the show's still very good for me. So I'm gonna give it an 8.
An 8 from Johnny. All right, Pete. What about you?
Yeah, like I said in the intro, that this show kind of holds a special place in my heart. It's such a unique show and a unique premise of like what a lot of people I think would do if given the opportunity. Are the plot holes there in the show? Absolutely, but I don't think that's the point. I think it was just a real fun accumulation of like people's stories and getting a second chance and just a different way of interpreting that trope. Chizuru is one of my all-time favorite characters in anime. I love her. I just like her determination and her willingness to just continue to try, even in like situations where she probably could have given up if she wanted to, and she didn't. So I'm a huge fan of her. Kind of like Miles, what you were saying earlier. I have like the show at an 8 and the OVAs at a 9. So to me, this is like an 8.5. But if I had to lean one way, I love the ending. I think this ending is perfect for what the message it was trying to tell. So I'm gonna give the show a 9. I love the show.
Another 9. Nice. All right. I'm gonna to bounce off what Pete said a little bit. I think this is one of the best endings I've seen in romance anime, in any anime. Honestly, it's in terms of satisfaction. I think that I don't know, when I the first time I watched it, I actually cried. I really did, and like normally I only cry at sad things. I don't cry because I get happy. It was a weird feeling in my dorm room. My roommate started looking at me weird, and I was kind of like, long story. Man, I love this show. I can't say enough good things about it. I would recommend it to so many friends if I knew that they would like it, but I know not everyone would. I think this one, I have the original series at a 9 and the OVAs at a 10. I think it's probably my favorite romance anime. Yeah, no, it is. It's that or Golden Time, right? For me, probably. So I think that I think this one takes the cake. I cannot say enough good things about it. Watch it, please. Keep watching it. And the manga is great too. From the few chapters I read, I read the very end. There's a little like bonus chapter 222.5 or whatever, that takes place after the OVAs. Highly recommend you checking that out if you enjoyed the ending as much as someone like Pete and I did, and everybody else seems to have as well. So yeah, I'm gonna give it a 9, just because
Ah,
I again, the OVAs are a 10 to me, but I think the show overall is still like just great, because there are weaknesses that we've talked about in the show or in the episode. So yeah, that'll bring our total average for this, and I think that this is a little boosted because of the group of people that showed up tonight for it. But an 8.6 overall is what I have calculated, which is a little bit higher than the original show. Is a 7.98 on Mal, with the OVA being an 8.21. So
The
we're
manga's an
about
8.6.
the manga is an 8.6. I'm tempted to read the manga now. God, again, like every time I think about this series. Oh, and we didn't talk about it. The music is so
Oh,
freaking good
shout
in
the
this
socks,
show.
yeah.
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 Oh
That
my god.
jazz.
That jet. No, but like the OP is so good. Makes me smile, and the endorphins just rush every time I hear it. Every time we're playing like anime music quiz, or I just think about the show. It just the Oh, it's so good, and the EDs are really fun too. They're all really like nice, catchy pop songs that are supposed to reflect the mood of the episode, and they usually do a very good job of that. I don't know. Again, just this show's great. Oh, sorry, don't mean to keep talking, but so fucking good. All right, let's talk about what we. I guess that wraps
well,
up our discussion, right?
Pat, really quick. I can't let you do this to yourself. This is your favorite romance of all time.
It's top 3. It's like this or Agairu and Golden Time, probably. Yeah.
Okay, I'm just saying. This is your only chance to give this a 10, where I recorded in this spreadsheet.
Yeah, no. Again, the show itself has flaws, so I think it's a 9. like objectively it's a 9. My enjoyment is a 12. But
Okay.
you know what I mean, like in the same way that I don't know, like it's hard. I don't give 10s very so
I
because it's
respect that.
hard. There's almost nothing that's a 10 out. In theory, there's nothing that's perfect out there, right? There's always a problem.
Perfect
10
blue.
isn't perfect, it's masterpiece.
Oh,
Yeah.
masterpiece should be
That's
perfect.
7 out of 10 for you, Miles.
Yeah. 7
Then
out of 10. Well, that's happy who
technically,
gets. That's a
Yeah, it's
masterpiece.
masterfully written 7 out of 10.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
No, did you get
technically, if
something like that as well? I don't remember.
technically, if
It's our
something,
joke for Violet Evergarden.
What am I
Oh,
watching?
I made the joke about Monogatari frequently.
Yeah. Oh,
Because
yeah.
it's too horny for me, but it's like really good. So
Yeah. But anyway, so we voted on 2 core shows this past couple weeks. Miles, what won? And totally wasn't a slip of the finger during our anime club that totally will not be shown and talked about. So what are we watching, Miles? No one else knows except
in,
for
in,
you and me.
in
Yeah.
third
and
place,
everybody in the Discord.
we
Join the
have
Discord, by the way.
we
Yeah.
have a tie between March Comes In Like a Lion and Basquatch. Really sad Basquatch didn't win, but what do you do? In second place, we had Steins Gate.
Barely.
Which
One first place vote away, right?
yes, say if a Twitter poll had been put up.
Like,
Um,
is this just like fate at this point? Like, maybe my dad was right when I was 12. You'll never be good enough, but it's just like.
It's not bad to finish second, Johnny. Good advice to have in college. That's what
and
I would
so,
say.
as Meek Mill used to say, or still says, probably, uh, I used to dream of times like this. In, in first place, we have the first season of Higurashi When They Cry.
I finally get to repay Miles after our like 2.5 year bet that I made with him to watch this.
A few things about the show.
Uh,
1, it's bad. 2, don't watch the dub. You might be tempted to watch the dub. You might think to yourself, I can save time and watch
Yeah.
the dub. It is the worst dub I have ever heard, ever. I'm pro dub. Don't watch it. Just don't do it. Don't do it.
Okay.
It'll make you hate the show more.
why don't we just watch Science Gate? Like,
Yes.
why don't we just?
You make such a great case, but that
Read the Twitter poll. Put it up today, and like by the end of tonight, see if it gets like one
I'm
vote.
busy. Sorry.
yeah,
Oh
sorry.
my God.
This is you know what? The polls were closed.
Oh, my mom's calling me. I gotta go. Sorry.
There was some some
Do a recount. I don't care.
there
It's
was some
rigged.
gerrymandering, and that's just the way it is. There's no
That's a black
way
man.
around this.
I started my gerrymandering early when I got Trent and Galaxy to start reading the series, and then I tried to nominate Toradora, and then only nominated this series because I couldn't think of another series in 10 seconds. So that's how.
I blame Jay because he's the reason why we couldn't do Toradora.
Yeah, it's
This is all his fault.
Well, actually, who gave Jay Toradora for Secret Santa?
You're right, but also
that's a good point,
Because
Johnny.
then it's actually their fault.
Yeah,
And who did do that?
I am my worst own enemy. Like I'm so good that like the only person that can beat me is myself
There you
and
go.
my dad. But actually, never mind. Don't talk about.
Yeah.
Oh,
All right.
God.
These jokes are just really swing and a miss
Yeah,
tonight.
that is horrible.
like
Anyways.
your father.
And I'm done. Yeah.
Weren't you
Yeah.
supposed to get all your cringe jokes out before the episode?
I'm sorry, it just came out.
Wait,
It's okay.
didn't Johnny just imply that his dad doesn't miss?
Yeah.
Yeah. There we go. All right. We're.
That's all I'm gonna say. He keeps winning.
It's okay. We all need to.
I'm really
Suck.
excited for
We
when
all suck sometimes, I
when
guess, at
Pete
joking.
just edits this out.
Yeah. What are we nominating?
Yeah. So, anyways, all right, everyone, breathe in, breathe out. Okay. No. All right. Are we ready? Are we good? Is everyone good?
No.
God, Jay would be so mad right now if this was happening and he had to like go take a shit before work or something. Oh, okay. Now let's nominate shows for our March 20th discussion. That'll be coming in about 30 days or so, maybe just under. I can't do math because of February being all funky. What are we nominating? Miles, why don't you kick it off?
Sure. I've thought long and hard about this, and what I've decided to do is to nominate Spice and Wolf. I'm gonna nominate
Ooh,
Spice and Wolf.
Yeah.
Spicy.
I
Interesting.
like it.
You nominated Spice and Wolf because I nominated Spice and Wolf last time.
Well, I was gonna nominate Spice and Wolf, and you told me not to, so
Yeah,
that
we
you
had
could.
we've had this conversation.
Yeah, some deja vu. I like. Yeah, that's weird. All right, Kat. What about you? What have you got?
So I am actually going to nominate a show from 2017 called Fuka. It is a musical romance show.
That show is ass.
I haven't watched it in a while, and I want other people to talk about it with me.
Do you remember the last time you did this, Cat?
Last time I nominated Fuka.
No,
Non
okay,
baka. Non
Yeah.
baka.
This
One,
is not.
so.
No. There's a difference. This is
Mm.
not a show that is near and dear to my heart. This is not a show that you will tear apart, and I will feel bad because of it. This
You're
is a
right
show
there.
that I will nominate. You guys will tear apart or enjoy, and I will feel indifferent to
How do I
whatever your
spell
feelings
Fuka?
are.
Fuuka.
Fuuka.
Thank you.
It's 0.8 lower than non-baka.
No, it's
Oh,
not. Not
yes.
like it's like 7 point something.
3.3. Fuka's a 6.5.
Oh yeah.
Fuka's ass.
I
Donut.
You're selling it.
It's
I gotta
terrible.
say-
I dropped it in the first episode. It's
I
buns.
I really like the PV.
The
Art.
PV's cool.
I'm gonna vote for it. I think
you're-
everyone should
Oh,
vote for
boy.
You're a
Fuka.
fucking coward.
Oh my God.
All right, so Johnny, nominate something so horrible that Pete has to vote for Fuka.
Original season 2. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, no. Oh, he said it. He said it. Lock it in.
What is the show that I have right now that has the most legacy points?
Almost certainly Classroom of the Elite, but
Yeah.
potentially Chinibio.
I only
These are-
nominated that like 3 times.
Okay, so Classroom has 6 legacy points. And Chinibio only has 3 legacy points. Now, mind you, when Pete nominates Link Click, that has 7
You
legacy
mean
points.
Blue Lock?
Are
Yeah,
you nominating
yeah.
Blue Lock? Because I'd be so hype.
All right.
See, when
Yeah,
I make
but
the
you know
joke,
what?
I'm not joking.
I know.
Wait, didn't Eden the East get second twice?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, well, let's go for the 3-peat. Do it again.
Okay, so we're doing Eden of the East?
No, Arima season 2. Yes, Eden of the East. Let's go.
Okay.
I'm excited for that. That should be fun. All right, Pete, what about you?
We're back nominating our fantastic shows. It's time for me to get an 8th legacy point. I'm nominating Link Click.
Oh God.
Yeah,
That's why he's
still-
doing it more than me.
It's another week of this shit, man.
yeah.
Link Click is
Alright.
like 2.4 points higher on Mal than Fuka.
It is, and
Yeah.
I can't not think of it as Blue Lock. So that
It's-
kind of shows the quality.
Blue Lock is really good.
A lot of people like Blue Lock. It's like the
Yeah,
highest selling manga in Japan.
It's telling something about
Pete's
Link
clearly
Click.
flabbergasted by it, but he can't deny the reality
Oh
of the
no, for
sales.
sure. I think Blue Lock is clearly just a show. It's not for me. That's just a not for. I don't even think it's bad. I just wish they played defense. That's all.
What the
That
fuck?
sounds boring,
Defense-
though.
It's
No, but it's
important
part of-
to a team sport.
That's boring.
I
it's not.
know.
We are horrible today.
No, we're
I
killing
just
it.
I
We're
Fair
having
enough.
fun.
We can do whatever we
We're
want
just
because
having
Pete edits
fun.
the podcast now.
Yeah, we'll
So if
just-
it
yeah.
goes on
It's
too
fine.
long, he can cut it.
Yeah.
It
It's gonna
is-
be
it
crazy
is-
when Johnny has 20 seconds of mic time this episode.
Aw,
thanks.
come on. Don't give him that much.
Oh, no.
You deserve like 2.
I'm kidding. All right.
Better not.
So yeah, so this winter season has been phenomenal so far, and I think I'm gonna nominate a show from it because surely I have to watch something that
This
isn't a
winter
sequel.
season?
Yes,
Is it
No,
It's
this
not
is
gonna be done in
sarcasm.
time.
And March 20th won't be done.
No.
Oh, it might.
What show? I'll
That's
tell
the
you.
show.
Let me look.
Because a lot of these shows also in winter are delayed until like July.
So the show I was gonna nominate, March 25th. It was going to be The Angel Next Door Spoils Me Rotten.
Great
I was
show.
curious about that one, but it appears it only has 2 episodes out. So I thought it was already almost done
It's got
because
5.
it's got 5 out. All right.
No, it's got 7 out total. 5 left.
5 left. Okay, and
Alright,
yeah.
do
So
it next week.
unfortunately, yeah, I'll just do it next episode, I guess. Because like again, all the other seasonals I'm watching or that I would be watching this season are sequels. So I don't know. Let's nominate a short form anime then, because I don't know. I'm gonna be in birthday prep mood around then, and I want to just have something lax to watch. So I'm gonna nominate probably my favorite short form anime ever. It is one of the funniest things I've ever watched.
Don't
So fucking good. I can't understand
Damn it.
what my husband is saying. And I want to do both seasons. I feel like both seasons is pretty doable since the first season is 36 minutes long and the second season is 36 minutes long.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah,
Does that sound okay with you guys?
Mm,
Actually, sorry, it's 39 minutes long, and
Then
that
no.
includes a
Yeah,
1 minute.
that's a
It's
little
too
bit much.
long.
That includes
Okay,
13
yeah.
1 minute long ending sequences too, like EDs.
Okay,
Ah.
so both seasons are like 2 hours in total, or like something like that, or like an
It's
hour
like an hour
total?
total for both.
It's
Okay.
an hour. It's probably an hour total.
They're
for both
3-minute
total.
episodes.
Yeah, it's the funniest
Okay.
shit you'll ever see, though. I adore this show, and yeah, it makes fun of otaku culture in a very like endearing way, and I think it's great. Oh, so fucking good. It's so good. It has a Rurouni Kenshin reference in it, by the way. Not many
It's
of
a
the
s-
not
It's a
many shows
strongly
do.
worded love letter to otaku culture.
In a way, yeah. No, I think it's like self-aware. It's intentionally self-aware of how cringe and absurd
Yeah.
the culture is at times. But yeah, all right. That wraps up Watch Club for the week. Thank you guys for coming and talking about one of my favorite shows. Really, so glad we finally got to cover it in this. Pete, take it away.
Yes, if you made this far and you want to support us, best way to do so, like, comment, subscribe, leave a review on whatever platform you are watching and or listening to us on. Our last episode, we did Anime of the Year. You should check it out. That was an entire year accumulation of all the anime that we watched. We finally got to do some awards for that, so check that episode out. Otherwise, next week we will be doing Mal Review Game number 4, one of my favorite games that we play here, so that's going to be a whole lot of fun. Otherwise, if you are here for Watch Club in 2 weeks, we will see you for the dub of Higurashi. Thanks, and we will see you next time.